I'm up near the driveway because I wanted to show you I have two different types of weeds that look very similar. This one, sorry for the shadows, but this one here is more of a, I believe this is a Lespedeza, which I'll put on the driveway and I'll compare them for you in just a second. But this right here, which looks almost the same, I believe they call a Japanese clover. So let me put them next to each other so we can see. So I've cranked the brightness up a little bit so we can compare these, but as you can tell, they look almost identical to each other. The difference is this Lespedeza, the leaves are very smooth and there's no defined kind of texture to them. Whereas this Japanese clover, if you kind of turn the leaves over to the bottom and you look at them in just the right light, I don't think it's going to show up in the camera, but if you look at them in just the right light, you can kind of see there's tiny little, it has like a feather shape to it. There's tiny little ribs on it that make it look almost like a feather. And that's the Japanese clover, whereas the Lespedeza does not have those. So the only reason why I mention that is because around the garden there's kind of a mix of both of those, and technically if we were trying to eliminate these completely, you may have to use a different treatment mechanism to get rid of one versus the other. You need different modes of action, they call it. Here though, I'm trying my very best to be fully organic, well, beyond organic really, because I'm trying not to put anything, I'm just trying to let systems work themselves out. Unfortunately with these, a lot of times my only option tends to be either pulling them out or spraying them with at least like a vinegar solution, something that's going to dry them out and kill them where they rest, which is not a terrible thing. Too much of it could acidify your soil, but hitting it with like a 30% vinegar, it's a pretty good way to kill a lot of these types of invasive weeds in the garden, and it's not going to do too much harm to the soil as long as you're not drowning the soil in 30% vinegar. It really is tough this time of year to keep the garden clean. Obviously it doesn't look too bad. We've got some more of those Lespedeza and Japanese clover kind of sprouting up in a lot of the beds. This is probably the worst year I've seen for a lot of these. In fact, this might be the worst year I've seen for just weeds in general. I had probably about 2 wheelbarrows full, like overflowing with weeds that I had pulled out of this garden at the time that I was cleaning the garden out. That's a ridiculous amount of weeds, way more than I think I've ever had in all my time here. And I'm not entirely sure where they came from, other than just the conditions were just right and these weed seeds just started popping out of the garden. I'm hoping that if I continue to pull these weeds, that eventually I'm going to exhaust the seed bed that's sitting in this area. And as always, y'all be good. I'll see you on the next one.